The crypto markets have come back to life this year. Bitcoin doubled since the beginning of the year, more than doubled. Some of it has to do with the excitement over a potential spot ETF being approved. And there's also the issue of the Federal Reserve is being a little bit on the dovish side. I don't know. Although they kind of say higher for longer. Anyway, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Morgan Creep Capital Management CEO and CIO, Mark Yusko. Welcome back, Mark.
Hey guys, how you doing? Great to be with you.
Good to be there. Good having you on again. We talked about stablecoins just now, and some of what we're seeing in the crypto markets, we're seeing an influx of capital into the stablecoins, particularly USDT. Not so much USDC. USDC seems to be quite on the decline, and people keep burning it. I think that those are Canadians burning it for hot, as the winter months come.
Stay warm.
Yeah, northern Quebec could be really, really cold. But otherwise, no, USDC is being burned. USDT is on the rise. What's going on and how is that affecting the crypto markets? Is that part of what's driving the crypto markets now?
I don't know that it's driving the crypto markets. I mean, look, stablecoins are here to stay. We are going to move to a digital world, whether the incumbents, financial services companies like it or not. Name a technology that came along that got critical mass that went away, right? Horse and buggy manufacturers didn't really like the automobile. The train companies don't really like airplanes. But I didn't take a horse and buggy or a train yesterday when I flew to New York. I flew in an airplane. So this isn't as inevitable as the internet. Phone companies didn't like the internet. They tried to pass laws to make it illegal. Imagine that. And Al Gore killed that bill. So he didn't invent the internet, but he certainly helped it. And look, stablecoins are a great way of transferring value quickly, efficiently, and without worrying about market price. And I don't know if you've ever thought about this. I think about it from time to time. Banks are closed more hours than they're open. The markets are closed more hours than they're open. And digital assets never sleep. I could transfer you USDC right now if I wanted to, if I could get to my phone, but I'm using my phone since I forgot my computer today. But so I don't know. It's a long-winded way of saying I don't think stablecoins are the real reason we're seeing some pretty meaningful pumps in a number of coins. I think it's momentum, it's the halving cycle, it's the ETF, which BlackRock will get approved. Which day, I can't tell you exactly, but they're going to get approved. Whether anyone else does, I hope so, since I own pieces of two of the companies that are ahead of them in line. But I'm doubtful that they will get approval. I think BlackRock will get it. And I think that's going to bring tens, probably hundreds of billions of dollars into Bitcoin. And some of that's going to flow down into other coins as well.
I noticed in your answer you didn't mention CBDCs. And as I mentioned before, one would suspect that if you're going to make a large transaction, you're going to be more reluctant to use a stablecoin than you are a CBDC.
Oh, well, look, the incumbents would love if the world went to CBDCs. There was a big announcement this morning that Apollo and a bunch of others are doing this thing to help with the asset management business with JP Morgan and Avalanche. And okay, great, but that's a private chain. JP Morgan would love you to use a private chain. CBDCs, the reason I don't mention CBDCs is I think they're pure evil. I think they're one of the most heinous things you can imagine. Imagine that the guy in charge of the BLS, I'm sure you've seen Augustin, he's a kind of scary guy. And he says, of course, we should control how you spend your money, when you spend your money, if you be allowed to spend your money. Programmable money that a government can control is a very scary thing. Open and free markets are less scary to me. So I like stablecoins. I like digital assets. I love Bitcoin.
You might like it, but given that it's so scary, isn't it also inevitable?
Well, sure. And I do think that fiat isn't going away overnight. Now, it will eventually go away. I mean, we've had one money for 5,000 years. Money is an asset that exists in the absence of a liability. That's gold. Gold has been money for most of human history. And it's the only thing that you can take a single ounce from Cleopatra's time to a suit of armor to a zoot suit in the 20s to Savile Row today, and you exchange that ounce and you get a fine person's suit. It's been a perfect store of value. There have been 775 paper currencies, all kinds of countries all around the world over the millennia, and 3/4 of them no longer exist. All the others are down 97 to 99.99999%. And all of them will eventually go to zero because governments can't help themselves. They just spend their way into oblivion, and their currencies have to be devalued because that's the only way out. So digital assets, the interesting thing about them is, take Bitcoin. It's digital gold. It's equally scarce. Stock to flow ratio is fantastic. And it's more divisible and more portable. So I believe it will replace gold as the base layer of money. All money sits on top of gold. Central banks own gold. They issue debt, issue currency on top of that. That's the way the world works. I think Bitcoin replaces that. Fiat's not going to go down without a fight. And to your point, they're going to try to digitize it and make it centralized. But centralized is the opposite of what we all want, which is decentralized. And we will live in a decentralized world in the future. It's just going to take a while.
Mark, I want to talk about another token, another cryptocurrency that is outperforming this morning. I mentioned it at the top of the show. Solana's SOL jumped nearly 20% in the last 24 hours. What do you make of this new interest, this renewed interest in the Solana blockchain and its native token?
Jen, I'm taking full credit, 100% credit. I made this happen. So in September, early September, I made a comment on a show that Solana had vaporized transactions during the last cycle. Oh my God, the community went ballistic. They were so mad. Like, we never rolled back transactions. I said, I never said you rolled back transactions. I said because of outages in the protocol, the transactions went into the ether and never got settled. And unless you entered that transaction, it never happened. Now, a couple people actually were positive and said, hey, let us help you understand this. This guy, Happy Pirate from the Netherlands, sat me down on a Zoom and walked me through all the changes that they've made. And so on September 22nd, literally almost to the day of the bottom at just under $20, I said, you know what? I've changed my mind. These guys have convinced me that there's something going on here, and it's gone to 60 since then. So I'm definitely taking full credit.
We're going to quote you on that one. We're going to quote you on that one, Mark.
Just kidding around. But no, what I think is happening is a couple things. One, they did fix some of the problems, so that's a positive. Two, we had Breakpoint, and Breakpoint is always a pump fest, so that certainly is part of it. Three, we didn't see the FTX cash get sold. The bankruptcy trustee had threatened to sell all their Solana, and they haven't done that yet. That will put some pressure on at some point. And then actually, there's some building going on. One of the things that I love about right now is I've been to a bunch of events. I went to Permissionless, the ETH event, and I went to Bitcoin event, and I went to a Filecoin event, and they're down 80, 90% in terms of people. But the people who are left are the builders. So the speculators are gone, the gamblers are gone, the crypto bros and gals are gone. And what we have left are people who are building real things. That's super exciting. And if you think about history, the great companies are built in bear markets. They're not built in bull markets because capital flows too freely. You think about Breakpoint 2 years ago at 21, right? $1 million after parties and the price at $260. That was the peak, right? When you're spending $1 million on an after party, bad things happen after that. So when you have a nice I went to a party at Bitcoin Miami this past year, and it was at a little taco shop after renting out a big mansion on the water 2 years ago. So when you're down to that level, good things happen. Frugality.
All right, Mark, we do got to wrap it here, but I spoke over Lawrence, and he was asking if you got any Solana bags.
I have to admit, we sold most of our Solana. We were very early investors, and I give Kyle all the credit. We invested in Multicoin, and they bought us a bunch of Solana. And so we probably one of the best investments I've ever had in my career on a multiple basis. I think we made about 1,000 times our money. But we did sell most of it, but we still have a decent amount, and probably hold it for a while.
All right, Mark, we're going to leave it there. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, y'all. Talk to you soon.
That was Morgan Creek Capital Management CEO and CIO, Mark Yusko.